the heart of Central Europe, situated on both banks of the Danube, is Budapest, magnificent capital and largest city of Hungary. It was formerly two separate towns, one called Buda, built upon the hills of the western bank, and the other called Pest, spread out upon the broad plains to the east. They were united in 1872 under the name of Budapest. For more than 2,000 years there has been a settlement on this site. In 896 the Hungarians, led by Prince Arpad, established their government here, and it became a Christian kingdom that stood as a bulwark against repeated Turkish invasions of Western Europe. Though Pest was captured and sacked, and Buda was occupied by the invaders for nearly a century and a half. Imperial Budapest was eastern capital of the Habsburgs until the revolution of 1918. The Danube is spanned by 7 city bridges, all contribute to the grandeur of one of the most beautiful capitals in the world. The Elizabeth Bridge is named in honor of the Empress Elizabeth, who, though Austrian, was greatly beloved by the Hungarians. The oldest bridge of Budapest is the Lánchíd-span, which when built in 1847 was the longest suspension bridge in all Europe. Budapest architecturally as well as geographically is one of the most magnificent of cities. Crowning the hill of Buda is the famed royal palace with its 860 lavishly furnished and beautifully decorated rooms. On the hill is also the graceful coronation church, commenced in the year 1015. A statue of St. Stephen, first king of Hungary, adjoins the church and overlooks the Fisher Bastion, a promenade and famed landmark, and one of the numerous points of view from which the traveler and conducted tourist is shown a panorama of the city, and the many magnificent buildings along the river, which add so much to the beauty of the Queen of the Danube. Most public buildings is the Gothic House of Parliament, with the exception of that at London, the largest in the world. The great edifice covers more than 20,000 square yards and contains 10 spacious courtyards, 28 superb marble and stone staircases, and more than 100 splendid halls. The favorite promenade of the Hungarians is the Corso, along the Pest side of the river. Here at midday and late afternoon, crowds gather to walk or sit at the many cafes and look out upon the lovely Danube and the heights of Buda across the way. Paralleling the Corso, and only 2 blocks distant, is the most fashionable shopping street of the city, the Váci Utka. The fast-growing city, rapidly spreading toward the great plains of the Puszta, is laid out spaciously, with many broad arteries leading in all directions, and circular boulevards occupying the sites of former ramparts. In addition to normal street traffic, peasants from the country in colorful costumes make Budapest one of the most attractive cities to travelers. Peasant women from Mezőkövesd and other localities famed for native-made embroidery bring their hand-woven products to the capital and display them before the national theaters for anyone who wants to buy them. Budapest's smartest thoroughfare is the Andrássy út, running in a straight line from the center of the city to the municipal park. Upon both sides of the wide avenue are business buildings and apartment houses. The avenue leads to the imposing Millennium Monument, erected on the occasion of the celebration of the 1000th year of Hungary's existence. The semicircular pillar colonnade contains statues of many famous Hungarian kings and chieftains. Before the central column, within a simple stone tomb, rests Hungary's unknown World War soldier. Other hero dead of Hungary are revered in the graceful monument near Parliament Square. Budapest has liberally remembered her deserving sons and beautified the great city with many statues. The imposing figures of the Kossuth Monument are dedicated to the great statesman patriot and to his ministers. Innumerable are the public buildings in classic and Hungarian architecture. The Agricultural Museum is a replica of the famous castle of the Hunyadi family. The Museum of Fine Arts houses a matchless collection of old masters. The Academy of Music once had the immortal Liszt as its director. In the center of the Danube is the island of St. Margaret, an imposing park and the pride of Budapest. The entire island is devoted to pleasure activities and health bathing. For Budapest, in spite of being an important metropolis, is claimed to be the greatest health resort in the entire world, where even 20 centuries ago the Romans journeyed far to bathe in the healing hot artesian springs unique in Europe. In the city park on the left bank is one of the largest bathing establishments of Budapest, the magnificent H.I.C bath, containing many indoor baths and 3 outdoor pools of different temperature. The sunbathing terraces and galleries are always crowded on weekends and holidays, for the Hungarians make the most of their natural endowments. Rising above the sulfur spring of St. Gallen, from which flows more than 2.5 million quarts of water daily, is one of Budapest's most famous and fashionable thermal establishments, the Galliot Bath. In the pool of artificial waves, there is always a gay cosmopolitan crowd of pleasure-seeking strangers who are fast making the city one of the happiest playgrounds of Europe. For Budapest is the most hospitable of cities, where one meets with the heartiest of welcomes, the kindest of treatments, and the saddest of farewells.